Yes, recording is in progress. Fantastic. Hey, Stephen. Stephen, shall we do something, together by ourselves
Oh, that
without,
that sounds.
without Daddy?
I don't know. Will he approve? I'm not
Just
sure.
wow, we're about to find out, aren't we? Hey, I mean, both you and I have recently been to see the collective triumvirate of Uriah Heep, April Wine. I see you've got the T-shirt and Tyketto in different cities here in the UK. I saw them on February the 25th in Manchester, which was a Wednesday evening. Was it Tuesday evening? It's a rock and roll kind of. It's Tuesday evening, I think. When I don't know, it might have been a Wednesday. Who cares? And you saw them.
I saw them on the 23rd, which was a Sunday, and that was in Glasgow at the King's Theatre, which is a venue I've been to for theatre shows before, never for rock bands. Bit of an unusual choice, but it turned out to be a good venue for them.
Excellent, 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 excellent. So, um, before we actually review the bands, I think there's a discussion to be had, Stephen. Is there not?
Mhm.
About
Okay.
exactly how much or whether or not we're really seeing the actual bands that were advertised. Now, I'm fairly phlegmatic about this. I'm fairly okay. I can see there's a through line for each band. Mick Box is still there. Bernie's been there for about 39 years, I think he said.
And
And
around there, yep.
everyone else has been there a while. One of the members of April Wine, Brian Greenway, has been there for allegedly nearly since 1970. He actually said on the stage, and Danny Vaughan is Tyketto. So I'm relatively sanguine about this situation, but I noticed that there are people out there who aren't. So
Well, see, I'm okay with it too. To be fair, I'm a hypocrite when it comes to this kind of thing. Certain bands it seems to irk me, and certain bands it doesn't. It definitely doesn't with Uriah Heep because it feels like a very natural progression. You've got a core of a band there that have been together for decades. You've got four guys there that have been together for decades, and you've got a bassist in Dave Rimmer that really only came in because he took a spot of someone that had died, unfortunately. So to me, that is a cohesive unit that has never really broken and it's naturally evolved. And the main players have been there a long time. Your keyboard player, your guitarist, and your singer been there a long time. And then you've got Russell Gilbrook on drums. He's been there for decades now. And in my humble opinion, and all due respect to everyone that came before him, immediately made the band better. So I'm up for all of that. April Wine is a little bit of a, and I'm a fan, is a little bit of a different kettle of fish because it's all a little bit more recent. They don't really record all that kind of stuff. But you either want to see these bands or you don't, I suppose. And
yeah,
this is as near as we're going to get now.
yeah. As I said to the many SLT fans that were in Manchester, the only place I have ever heard April Wine is either in my house upstairs or in my car. I've never heard them on the radio. I've never seen, never. I was too young when they toured the UK last. So it's the only opportunity I've ever had, and we'll go on to see whether or not we enjoyed very, very shortly. I did. I mean, you obviously did. You got the t-shirt, so yeah. Okay. Shall we?
Let's delve in. So, I mean, Tyketto opened, and as you say, I mean, they are really Danny Vaughan. I mean, they weren't at one point, but it kind of has been for a long time now. He's the clear focal point, but he's put a really good band together round about him. I was, because my daughter, who I was there with, was eagle eyed, I got a wee set list here, look, because we were right at the back of the venue. There was the soundboard, and that's all the stuff was sitting about. So as you can see, they basically played a whole set minus two is all from the debut album. Play to your strengths, I would suggest, because I think there's a lot of people, certainly in Glasgow, who didn't know who they were, who definitely do now. They went down very well indeed.
They did in Manchester. They did get some people off off their seats. I'll tell you what, they are a really tight band.
Yeah.
Really tight band. Harry Scott Elliott is a fantastic guitar player. He's just
Mm.
shreds like crazy. It's really good. And I've said it before, and I will say it again. Danny Vaughan is the best live singer I have ever seen, or I have seen in the last 30, 40 years. You know. But
He's up there, isn't he?
it might be recency bias, obviously, because I know I've seen, say, Freddie Mercury, but I can't, you can't remember what you saw in 1985, can you? Although you
Yeah.
remember being blown away. I've seen Tyketto twice, and both times recently I've been absolutely blown away.
Yeah, and there was people round about us, or certainly as we were wandering about buying merch and various things, because in the King's Theatre, each band's merch desk was on different floors because it really isn't meant for that kind of show. So anyway, so as we were wandering about looking for merch and various things, we did hear people just, what a singer. So people who maybe didn't even know who he was and who Tyketto were clearly blown away by him, which was great because I've seen him solo and I've seen him with Tyketto once each before and always been impressed. But it's the biggest room I've seen them in, and I did wonder how would that translate because I've only seen them in small clubs. They were great. They absolutely owned it. And I mean, we've spoken about that debut album on shows before. We both love it, to be fair. So there's maybe a little bit of bias there. But it was nice to see just how well they went down. And they chose the set really well, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did. They did. It's just the greatest hit set, isn't it, really? Yeah. And they did play the ballad as well, and I think it's arguably the best known song, but it was so good. And then that going straight into Forever Young. What a 1-2 punch to finish it off with. It really
Yeah.
was, wasn't it? Also, I would like to once again to reiterate that Wings is one of my favorite songs in the universe that they played second. So yeah, hey, woo! Oh, for that. They were just very, very good. Although I spoke to somebody at halftime who just didn't get it.
I mean, it happens, I suppose. You're
Yeah.
never going to please everybody all the time. And yeah, there's maybe a bit of bias there because I've been there since the debut came out and just have always loved them as a band. They were tremendous, I thought, absolutely tremendous. And it was an opportunity, I think, that they knew to maybe reach some people that they hadn't reached before. And they did not miss the opportunity. It really went down very well.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed, indeed. Right, so that's Tyketto. April Wine. Hmm. I. Oh, you're a smart ass, aren't you?
Not the date. I've got one from a different show, though. They obviously just printed them all out
Wow.
and put them there.
You can move around in time and space. That's one of your specialities. I enjoyed April Wine. I enjoyed them much more than I thought I was going to. I really did. And I really, really liked the guitars. I thought they were really, really
Mm,
excellent.
mm.
I imagine if people weren't familiar with them, they might sound a bit samey and a bit. There's nothing really apart from "Ooh What a Night," which really stood out. That was fantastic. It was really,
Yeah.
really good. All the bell and the percussions and all that stuff. That was really, really good. And some of the voice, some of the notes that Mark Burton hit. Wow, I can only assume that all the dogs of Manchester were going, ouch, because you know. Um, yeah, but would you think that maybe the bill should have been the other way around?
It made me
Oh,
wish, and I mean,
yeah.
they spoke about coming back and various things like that, whether that'll ever happen or not, because I'm not sure what size of venue they could sell here on their own, unfortunately. It, Tyketto came out and really grabbed it. They're a hard rock band with a keyboard player. April Wine is much more rock and roll. It's much more kind of laid back. It was much more kind of relaxed and just having a good time. They're not quite so mobile on the stage. I
Oh,
don't know about where you were, but in Glasgow, the way that it was lit was darker, and it was just a little bit moodier and gentle, for want of a better turn of phrase. And they were really, really good. But my daughter, who didn't really know any of the three bands really well, even said when they'd done, they were really good, but they should have been on first.
mm,
And with Legacy, they were in the right spot on the bill. When I saw the bill, you think, yeah, that's right. Those bands are in the right order. That makes total sense. On the night, I would suggest they probably should have opened, but I know why they didn't.
yeah,
They
name
were really good,
recognition,
though.
isn't it? Yeah, they were really good. What I would say, you talked about lighting, but for both Tyketto and April Wine in Manchester, I thought, well, lighting's a bit shit. Where's the spotlight? So when he's doing a solo, what's going on? Then suddenly, when Uriah Heep came on, lighting suddenly became absolutely, brilliant. It's weird, that, isn't it? Don't know why that
I,
was. Really don't. So,
I
yeah,
wonder how that happens.
I know. Yes, yeah. I in terms of performance, and there was nothing wrong with April Wine. I would definitely have flipped them with Tyketto, but I understand the name recognition, and whether or not it's really 40 years since they've last been here.
I don't know. I actually have no idea, to be fair. It's not
But
something I've
at least
looked up. I
at
don't.
least three of the band weren't. So
Well, yeah. No, definitely not. Yes, I'm sorry. Slow here. Definitely not in that sense. But it sounded authentic. I had no complaints. It's a band I really like, and they were. I was always going to go to the show anyway. But when I
yeah,
saw that the three bands that were there, you were like, "Whoa, never seen April Wine before. What a win that is!" And it still was. So it's being picky more than anything else because I can't really find a fault with anything that they did. They maybe could have played a couple of their heavier songs. That the set was maybe just a little too one paced, but it's difficult because they're a band that's used to headlining, and you've got I don't know they maybe got 40 minutes or so, and it's you got
yeah.
to compress it in, and you got to please people with songs they know, and they did that to be fair.
They didn't do "You Could Have Been a Lady," but apart from that, that's fine. I mean, they did do another cover. I thought, um, they passed the time appreciably. What was noticeable that, as far as I could see, certainly from looking that way and that in the stalls where I was, nobody stood up.
See, Glasgow's a strange place for support acts because nobody stood for Tyketto, but they got a bit of a standing ovation at the end.
Yeah,
Whereas for April Wine, nobody stood, and nobody stood at the end. And I would just say that that was the slight difference. And it really was just, I think it was more the energy levels coming off the stage. It's not that April Wine didn't give it everything they had.
mm,
I just think it's more a case of the way that the material lands than
yeah,
it was the performance than anything else. But yeah, there wasn't the same kind of reception for them, even though I would guess, and it felt like it at the start of the set, that they were a better known band to the audience.
yeah.
Yeah,
Which leaves us with the headliners, doesn't it?
does indeed.
I've never seen the Heap before. I don't own that many Heap records. They're mostly a greatest hits band for me. I really
Mhm.
enjoyed the Heap. I, I really is a very engaging frontman. Um, Mick Box was very entertaining when he spoke, and plays guitar like Bob Catley sings. He's always
Yeah,
doing.
he does always like the.
And that always appeals to your Uncle Simon. Setlist was great. It's like so, really, really ancient stuff, stuff nearly as old as me. And the Overload is brilliant,
Yeah.
just really, really good. The absolute standout for me, he said, trying to find the list, was July Morning, which they played just before the encore. That was unbelievably good. Really, really,
Yeah.
um, really excellent. There were so many great things that Free and Easy was good, Sweet Lorraine. They were all good. Nothing, just wow, look at that. And I don't know about you, but were you transfixed by Russell Gilbert's biceps? My God,
Absolutely.
I,
And do
I
you know,
I know people with smaller legs. Go
he's an excellent aim. And do you know how I know that?
on. Oh God, what have you got
That's
now?
how I know
Oh,
that.
jeez.
Show used, look, show used. My daughter caught it. I'm not acrobatic enough. It landed in the row in front of us.
Oh, really? Oh, well done.
he,
Well done.
obviously, he obviously knew it was me. He was
Yeah,
aiming
of
for me.
course. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course you did. But they were so good. They really were. The vocals were very much on pitch. The Hammond organ was brilliant. Really,
Yeah.
really like they were all at the top of the game. They really were. And to say that is Mick Box about 77. Wow.
Yeah.
Work
Incredible.
to the
What I really liked was the breadth of the catalogue that they covered. They didn't do much from the kind of middle era, or which is really very long when you're talking 50 years plus.
Mm,
But they came out and they played, I think, four of the first five songs were from the Bernie Shaw era. And from Wake the Sleeper onwards, which is the last five albums and around there, they came out and they just kind of they hit you over the head. Really, they came out and played heavier stuff, great energy, and as I said, the Glasgow audience didn't stand for the first two bands. Bernie Shaw was having none of that, absolutely none of that. Before he'd even sang a word, he was insisting that everybody was up. not everybody made it on their feet to the end in the crowd, but everybody got up for him, to be fair. And we stayed on our feet the whole show. And then from there, it moved into the kind of vintage stuff, the early songs. I think there was three from the Magician's Birthday, which is why we were there. And yeah, it's just there was everything was right about it. The pacing of the set, there was solo spots, but they weren't too long. And I quite liked that when Mick Box got his chance to kind of shine and play his solo, we still had drums behind it all, so it didn't just feel a
Yes,
little. It
exactly.
wasn't as kind of self-indulgent as a lot of these spots could be. It was a kind of song without the rest of the band and him and Russell playing the drums, and it really landed. I thought. I thought it was, and it went down really well. But just, I really have absolutely. I tell you what really struck me is that every singer should have a microphone holster. Because Benny Shaw has got a holster strapped
Yeah,
to his leg with his microphone. Genius.
he's like a football referee. Like he's going to go and like put mark the 10 yards out, doesn't he? Yeah. But no, he then pulls it to his garb. Yes, absolutely. There was a lot of love in the room for Mick Box, wasn't there?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I
So
mean, there was a hint. I don't know if the same hint was kind of dropped at the show you were at, but when they spoke about this kind of the band winding down and various things, they tried to pour some cold water on that.
hmm.
I mean, it's clear that they're not going to do the ginormous length of tour that they're going to be doing for this one because it goes on for a long time after the shows that we saw. I still think they'll be back.
Oh yeah,
Actually, there was a hint certainly dropped of could we do the Magician's second farewell next year? And obviously, it got the big cheer, and they were like, "Well, we'd like to." And I thought, that's the farewell already kind of getting pushed out here somewhere,
well, they definitely said there'll be more new music. So
which is good. Yeah, and it was good to see them covering. I think they did two songs from the newest album, Chaos and Color,
hmm.
"Save Me Tonight" and "Hurricane." Great stuff. They're still really on top form
Yep.
as a band, right the way across the board. New material, live they were amazing. Really like Phil Lansden, keyboard player, just giving it all this with the notes, and it was fabulous. I have to say, really good.
Yeah, they were excellent, and really, I paid £49 for my tickets plus 17,000 pound add-ons to print my ticket off. Um, well worth it. Really, really well. Three excellent bands for 50 quid. You can't go wrong with that.
When you're paying, not that I tend to not pay for these prices, but when you're trying to charge you somewhere towards and beyond £200 for some of these ginormous shows, where you're getting a headliner and a support act you don't really know
Hmm.
in this place where they're like this size because you're so far away. Yeah, my ticket, I think even with the add-ons, came in at just over £50. It was incredible value for the three bands that we got, and the whole production was really tight. I think there was only 20 minutes between Tyketto and April Wine, and then maybe 25 from April Wine to Uriah Heep. Maybe not even that, to be fair. The turnaround time was absolutely fantastic. There was just no time to take a breath in the best possible way. The momentum
Absolutely.
really did feel like it just maintained. It
Yeah.
was as professional a show as I've seen for a long time because there was a nice stage set. We had risers and various things, which you don't always get these days. A nice backdrop. The light show was good for Uriah Heep. Yeah, there wasn't much for the other two. And just the whole thing, as I say, the pacing of the set was fantastic. So yeah, I went knowing I'd enjoy it, and I've seen them before. I would suggest they were even better this time round. It was just fabulous. Last time I saw them was on the Wake the Sleeper tour, which is one of my favourite albums by them of all time. So, and they played the whole album, not in order, but that night. So I was delighted. But I think that they were even better this time round. So if they do come back, well, I know we're all saying farewell and all this kind of stuff, but I'll still be there.
Bye again. Bye. Yeah. Well, there you go. Outstanding. Right. So that's Uriah Heep, April Wine and Tyketto in both Manchester and Glasgow. What more could you want? Stephen, I believe we're next going to do this with Saxon and Dirk Schneider much later in the year. Am I right?
Oh, it sounds good to me. I'm definitely going to
Well,
see it. So we shall
we
reconvene.
are. We are indeed. We shall reconvene, just me and you. Then, okay. Okay. Is it that time where I say smash the like button and stuff like that? Yeah, consider that done. And from me
Yeah.
and Stephen, goodbye.